All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Metroid Prime Randomizer Tournament of 2021. My name is TGC, the Ginger Chris. I will be joined shortly by Christopher Frost on commentary, who's just getting a few things kind of sorted out. Today we have Gunert versus Haldadrin. Both runners are extremely experienced in playing Prime for a fair long time, both experienced in both speedrunning and Rando, so it'll be exciting to see kind of what goes on here. I've not checked in on these two runners for how well they get on. Curious to see what new stuff they're bringing to the table for us. And the race is off.
Yeah, Gunner is very versed in the back end of Prime. I can say that at least.
Yeah.
Quite often, he shows us the inner workings of certain rooms, and it's always fascinating to see with the Prime World editor in particular. I mean,
Yeah. Definitely getting to see kind of like why things happen, what triggers, what kind of controls the overall game is quite good. We can see both runners have just picked up their main missile launcher in Alcove, so this will get them rolling quite quickly into the Artifact Temple with some space jump boots snoozing behind the ship.
yeah, this is a great way to, like, immediately the runners will be able to check their hints, in contrast to Echoes, where hints are locked behind quite a few progressive items.
Yeah. So immediately getting your hints gives you kind of a good scope to see what kind of seed we're involved with today. Is it going to be one of our Chozo heavy seeds, where you find 5 of your 6 artifacts and it's a race to the Phazon suit? Or are we going to have one of those rare seeds where it spreads them out across the game world, where you kind of get a little bit more of an excitement from it, because you don't end up having all of your gold of your good items right off the go?
Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Now, I didn't see if Gunner checked to see what was at Temple, so as we approach, it's just an E-tank. So it looks like we will be moving towards Chozo to obtain our Morph Ball, most likely. Oh, I'm
Wow,
gonna.
that
I
was
didn't see
that.
those.
That was both fast and also, if I didn't mistake, everything looked like free for the most part.
Yeah, so we've got main plasma, we've got transport tunnel A, at least. Transport access north, so behind Zoid. Fiery shoals could be quite easy, depending on whether it's the upper or lower part. And Vault.
Right, so we got transport tunnel. What was the transport something?
So we had TTB, so the one at the bottom of Root Cave. We had Transport Tunnel North, which is the one behind Hive Mecha.
Alright.
We had a Fiery Shores one. We had a Main Plaza one. And we had a Vault one.
Are we missing one? Because there should be 6.
There should be 6, but the speed that Gunner ran through the hints, and I kind of missed Hal's first scan.
The Gunner has found its main power bombs, which means power bomb checks are now progressively in logic.
Yep. And sorry, it's TTA, not TTB, so it's the one between Thindrana and Magma. But yep, main power bombs at the bottom of Root Cave, which is good. Still, we need our Morph Ball before we get blowing things up. So most likely we'll be seeing Morph Ball showing up at Hive Mecha.
It could also be Ruined Shrine.
It could be Rune Shrine, yeah, with the point of no return logic with the way it is currently. It is possible that it's going to be there, but it's most likely we'll see it at Hive Mecha. Because I think with the way Randomania works at the moment, it only goes into point of no returns where it kind of starts getting a little wibbly as to where it wants to go.
That was good to know. Also, I love how you described that wibbly. Yeah, today you've got two Scottish Chris's filling you in to our audience.
Yep, this is a Chris and Chris commentary booth today. Now, I don't know how you would kind of route this a little bit. Oh, there's Morph. Hadn't considered that.
Yeah, same.
So, I probably would, as soon as I've done my Hive Mecha and checked what's behind and picked up the artifact from Hive Mecha, I would probably save warp immediately back to grab Space Jump, just so that you gain that momentum, that movement
Yeah,
ability as soon as possible.
Oh, and there's supers. Yeah, it's easy to forget that warp to start is a thing now. That definitely sounds like the better logical play.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a double check to see if there are any runners agreements in place for this one.
I don't believe so.
I think it's this one. Not that one.
And Gunner is doing just as you predicted.
Wave beam and nursery, is that what was up in the ledge? That's good to know. So we'll need bombs for that. I doubt either of these players will want to attempt the horrible roll-in after collecting a space jump.
I wonder if Spider Ball is going to make its appearance.
Now Gunner heading over to Frigate Crash site. Quite a common location for progression.
Yeah, routing purposes, you kind of want to put it off, but because of the way the progression likely places something here, it's probably a really bad idea to let it go.
X-ray visor, there we go.
So all that's left for Root Cave is is Grapple Beam to put in logical play. Although they could opt to check that now.
Yeah, so logically we need Grapple to traverse the room, but most runners in the tournament are kind of capable enough to go with the scan dash method, which just allows you to kind of circumvent some of the logical requirements. However, at this stage, with only Space Jump and X-Ray, it's hard to really tell whether Root Cave will have progression. If we see Grapple, then it's most likely there could be something up there. But X-Ray can also lead to things like Triclops Pit being our point of progression once we see Variasuit and things like that. So it's kind of hard to say whether X-Ray is pointing us in that direction or if it's wanting to point us somewhere else.
At least, if the Phazon suit is deep within the mines, they could clear it now. Well, obviously they need all the other progression, but the X-ray can be one of the trickier things to find.
So our main plaza artifact is the half-pipe one, so that'll be easy enough to pick up.
Just a neat tank in the tree.
Yep. Hal's following suit with the kind of the same route that Gunner took. So we're not really seeing much divergence here. And I think with the way the seed is currently, there's going to be very little opportunity for divergence straight away.
Yeah. Alright, there we go. Variasuit.
Yep, we've got our shoulder pads, which is good. And our ice beam. Ruined Shrine carrying the goods. Boost
Oh
ball as
boy.
well. Oof.
Oh, that progression back to back.
Stacked much? So, let's think about this. We had Supers, Morph, Varia and Ice, and Boost. A few artifacts. I'd maybe give it 1 or 2 items before I would say that it's likely that our chosen plant is most likely going to be required.
Yep. So for anyone that doesn't know, due to the way the algorithm works and due to a fluke, it kind of panics for the ghost check thereafter Flaga, because sometimes it wants to make sure you can clear it. And so it just dumps all the items and chosen runes. I think TGC might be able to elaborate on that a little more, or explain it a
Yeah,
little clearer.
it's still a bit tricky for me wrapping my head exactly around what's happening, but there's 2 different kind of checkpoints that Randovania does. When Randovania walks in to do Flagra, Randovania then thinks to itself saying, oh, if I ever need to come back here, I need to accommodate for this. And then once it leaves Flagra and gets to Sun Tower, it does that kind of same thought process again, but separately. So it kind of forgets that it's had that panic and then panics again, and Chozo can sometimes end up overstacked with progressional items because the Randovania wants to make sure the player has all of the necessary tools to go from A to B. Now, this has been kind of tweaked and worked on with one of the upcoming kind of updates to Randovania to kind of make sure that that panic doesn't happen. But it's led to some very interesting features, I suppose, with Randovania's current seeds. And it's why I personally vouch that plant should always be checked.
It's our bombs and dynamo.
Bombs in Dynamo, that's a good find. Now this actually creates a very difficult, tricky situation for like me as a runner. With bombs, you've got the bombs and Ice Beam gives you the full capacity to go all the way to the back of Chozo, outside of getting to Antechamber. We know where Wave Beam is though, and probably Gunner should head back as soon as possible to grab said Wave Beam. But it looks like Gunner might be deciding to route as far forward as possible before going back for that. Or it might be just...
Was that plasma?
That was plasma.
Oh boy.
All beams in Chozo!
Let's go. Now we just need to find our wave beam. Your Fury is looking very likely at this point.
Yeah. So the suit that was at Watery Hall, I didn't get a good look at it personally, but if Gunner has decided to ignore it, then it is most likely a nothing item, which are replacement items that are put in the pool to take up any of the items that we have removed. So for example, we start with Charge Beam, and we are only collecting 6 artifacts out of 12, meaning there's 7 empty slots. So we fill those with a nothing item to take their place, essentially. Jet Seed, most likely, but it is still possible that even though we have all of our beams, we have the majority of our Morph Ball systems, we have basically all the important tools, Phazon can still be Phazon and be anywhere in the world.
And there's our wave beam for Gunner.
Yep. And yeah, technically, as Gollop is pointing out, we are pretty much in Wave Beam Phazon Go mode at this point. The only thing that may interact or may interfere with that idea is our Spider Ball. So Gunner will be heading off to collect another artifact in Vault now that they have bombs.
The odds are the spider ball must be somewhere in Chozo too, or at least somewhere accessible.
Looking at how stacked Chozo is being, I would hazard that. I hazard that Spider Ball might actually be in Fendrana, but I have a funny feeling that Flagra may have Grapple. Don't ask me why, but it's possible.
And then have the spider and magma pool.
Could have in Magma Pill, yeah.
Alright, that's bombs for Haldadrin. Sorry. Haldadrin. Haldadrin. This is why you practice their names ahead of time.
I just call them Hal.
Sounds good.
So, artifact number 4 coming up. All that remains is the Transport Tunnel A artifact, and trying to remember what the other one was.
I got here, sorry. Oh, it's just, well, how convenient. There we go. Gunner is fast at checking those. Like, just flashing through the menu.
Yep. So it looks like Gunner is progressing into Magma, which is a fair decision. We're at that point where we've got all of our beams, we've got all our progressional items. Chasing your artifacts is a very strong play, because once you get your artifacts out of the way, then you're just at free roam capacity. You can go anywhere you want, you can check anything you want. Zoid hasn't been done yet, so Incinerator Drone is unchecked.
Yeah, Gollop, or within chat, wonders if Gunner will just skip Findrana and go right to mines after the artifacts, which is a good idea. Except, are there any artifacts in the mines?
No artifacts in mines, however, with the way with Randovania currently, mines having Phazon is extremely likely. My only concern with that is that the Fendrana is still likely to have your Phazon suit as well, just not as likely.
Yeah, this became a very open seed very quickly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I would be in a kind of very similar kind of mindset as Gollop is suggesting. Get your artifacts, you've got all your beams. The only key item you're missing, which I'm kind of conscious of, is the Spider Ball. Like, without Spider Ball, you are then left to do some very loathsome tricks to get around lower mines and upper mines.
This while I was on Gunner's there.
Say again?
I missed what item Gunner peeked at in Storage Cavern there.
That was an E-Tank.
Okay.
So missiles and Triclops pit, E-Tank, just in the Storage Cavern. Feel like Zoid has Spider and Expected Furnace. It's possible. The only problem with that is that the last remaining item that is in Expectation is Phazon. So, with how stacked Chozo has been, I very much doubt Phazon suit will be in Chozo with the remaining checks. But it's Randomizer. It's hard to say where Phazon's going to end up being. There's only one check in the entire game it cannot be located in.
Yep, your guess is as good as mine at this point.
Yep. So, yep. Fiery Shores lower for our artifact. Gunner getting the 5th one. Hal picking up their 4th.
5 artifacts and the amount of progression items within 20 minutes of the seed is pretty jet so far.
Yep. To be perfectly honest, depending on how quickly Gunner scales Monitor Station, it is fully possible that we will have all artifacts, all beams, and the majority of our movement systems and morph ball systems by 20 minutes.
Even if I think our runners would be comfortable with the amount of resources they have as well. Okay, it's a little bit on the tight side, but 3 tanks and the Phazon suit typically makes me feel a little safer.
Yeah.
maybe 4, and then any more than that, it's kind of just luxury at that point.
Yep, and there we go. Sub 20 minutes, all artifacts, all beams, and the only thing we're really critically missing outside of Phase Onset would be Spider. Pretty jet.
So far, unless we jinxed it.
Oh, it's Phase Onset. Phase Onset will do all the horrible stuff by itself.
We technically also don't have gravity suit.
We don't
So,
have Grav, yeah.
so if Phase and Suit decides to chill out in the ship, it's still obtainable if you know how to do it gravity-less, but cheeky nonetheless.
Yeah. Like, I'm waiting for that seed that I get to show off some gravityless frigate. Because it is quite it's quite an experience. Sadly, on these settings, we cannot have Spider-Ball on Omega Pirate, primarily for MQA, Metroid Quarantine A and Metroid Quarantine B, which logically require Spider at beginner levels to traverse. So that won't really happen within the tournament unless any of the runners start messing around with their brick level settings.
I'm kind of chuckling at how Gunner couldn't see the item because of the big arm cannon blocking the view of the item model.
Yeah, hands to the sky blocking the power bomb expansion shown in there. Yeah, Spider could be on Omega Pirate if it's not required. That is fully possible. But to be honest, when it comes to Prime and Randovania, we've very rarely ever seen an item getting locked by itself. At least in my experience with all the seeds that we've been running with Randovania, I've not personally seen too many examples of that. Maybe one so
I've
far.
seen a single example of it myself, yeah.
Last seed had power bombs and Life Grove. Ah, that's interesting, yeah. We're gonna doing a clearance of the Chosen Temple, moving into Chapel to see what's hidden there.
Collecting another artifact. I think he has just one more in the Fury Shores.
Yep. So Hal isn't too far behind. Like, the route is being pretty much identical at this point. I guess the seed is kind of coddling them in a straight line, for the most part.
Deceiving play though.
Yep. I think ultimately, once Hal grabs their last artifact, the question will really come down to, what does Hal want to do? Does Hal want to follow along, head into Fendrana, or is Hal going to be cheeky and try to move towards mines, or maybe even do reverse?
Flag it.
Could go back to Chozo and start clearing that out, yeah.
There's even, yeah, because the rest of the Chozo checks are kind of slow at this point. But they're still very valid, such as Zoid, Blarga, the Tower Chamber, Hall of Elders, and so on.
Yeah. The only checks that I would probably not be too scared of forgetting about is the training chamber access ones. Training chamber access and training chamber itself. They tend to very rarely have progression.
There's our grapple beam for Gunner.
Ooh, okay. So it looks like Hal is going to be skipping to the back of Magmur here. I'm excited for this play.
Yeah. This is a cheeky play. I like it. Getting that R.
Divergence.
Yep, our first major divergence. Also, that R jump, or mainly getting on the standable terrain in that room, is deceivingly difficult. It's so slippery.
And the R jump itself is the R jump itself is fairly simple, but it always looks like you're not going to make it. I've recently been learning that R jump, which has been neat.
Yeah,
Rather than doing the scan dash method, which is so inconsistent for me.
Yeah, I find both a little bit inconsistent. Missiles for both our runners.
Yep. So is Hal heading straight into the back of mines? Hal is heading into mines. Well, if the pirates let him.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I was just gonna say the standable terrain in Magmore, a lot of it is very slippery.
And if
All
it'll
right.
help you have rockets shooting you in the back. Yep,
Right,
so...
runners going for the labs, which has the most dense checks in Fendrana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like both runners. I appreciate both runners' logic here. Gunnert's going for the most, the most dense checks, whereas Haldadrin. There we go.
Think of it like this, it's Haldadrin. Haldadrin.
Oh, I feel like it's like Purple Burglar all over again. Forget what the third word is.
Is it not Purple Burglar Alarm?
Yeah, it's
Is that not
Purple
the issue?
Burglar Alarm. But yeah, for some reason I feel I don't struggle with that one, but Lemmy sure does.
Saying it fast is a struggle. Right then, so 26 minutes. Hal is in the back of mines. Both players in go modes, which is a very scary thing to say at the 20-25 minute mark. And all that's left is phase on. Which of these two runners will find it first, and can we get to a 40-minute impact crater? That'll be quite exciting.
That would definitely get us over commentary pretty quickly too.
So the spider tracks that exist in Impact Crater are pretty much pointless. The movement through that final room is considered to be trivial because you can literally just jump with space jump boots.
A lot of runners, I'm pretty sure, didn't even, or inexperienced players, I should say, didn't even realize there were spider tracks through there and thought jumping through the room was the logistical way of getting through it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, I wonder if that phase-on was supposed, or red phase-on was supposed to be more damaging or deadly, or something changed. We know that the last area in the game kind of didn't have as much development time as the rest of the game, from what we've heard. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
So for the plan though that we debuted last week at this stage, last Sunday, as the final weekly before the tournament kind of went full-fledged underway, I had wanted to put the players in a situation where they were forced to use that spider track before the prime fight, but I just felt that it broke up the flow too much. But I really do want to do that, put them in a situation where they cannot traverse without using the spider tracks in that room just for shenanigans.
Yeah, there are lots of interesting ideas for changing things up. Another fun one would be having a small Samus race.
Might happen.
The Gunner
skipped another nothing item.
Yeah, so nothing items are a suit with a glitchy texture. In honesty, there is discussion about changing this to a different model because this like you're not alone in mistaking this item for nothing, or for something, I should say.
Yeah.
With the X-ray visor, you can still see the if an item's behind an X-ray visor check, it still has a glitchy texture. But yeah, a lot of people have mistaken it for a suit.
Fun fact, last night I discovered that the nothing items do not have a glitchy texture when you look at them via thermal.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they all just look like a suit. I don't know if that's because in thermal there is no actual textures, because it is, I suppose, heat-based.
The reason
The idea
people
is
probably never noticed that is because no one ever uses the thermal visor. Sorry, TGC vision.
Yeah, get it right. Small Samus tournament would be fun. I do have an agreement with one of the other tournament participants that if we ever get matched up, we will be doing some small Samus shenanigans. So look out for that in future.
To your question, chat, of why Phazon Suit's required to complete the game. In the final fight against Essence Prime, the Phazon pools that it drops requires you to have the Phazon Suit to use the Phazon Beam. If you do not have the Phazon Suit, literally nothing happens, and thus there is literally no way of damaging Essence Prime, thus you're soft locked. And so you need that Phazon Suit.
Yeah, so the Phazon Beam, which is the key item for the final fight, is hard linked to the Phazon Suit pickup itself. So you need one to get the other. Now Hal is moving into MQA here.
Again, I wonder if Phazon Beam was supposedly going to be used in the, throughout regular gameplay at some point. But, wow, that is an interesting standable terrain from Gunner that I've never seen.
What was it?
He jumped on the little rock to get across the edge, and most runners use the R jump. I don't know if that's faster or not, to be honest, but yeah, you do not see that every day.
So Hal is now reaching a very awkward room because they don't have Spider. So I'm curious to see what tricks Hal has up their sleeve for this. Well, Gunner progressively just clears out Findrana.
Oh, is that it? Is that the Phazons? Oh, okay, yes, it was.
I seen a dash of pink in the texture, so I believe that was a nothing.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, the vision was a little bit staticky, so I didn't. Yeah, even we fall for it.
The R jump is faster than using the standable, but I believe the slope jump is faster than both methods. Yes, it just has a tendency to commit down if you get it wrong.
And yeah, it's risky for sure.
So Hal going for a very awkward slope jump and gets it. Now for the second part of this trick, a very difficult scan dash where you use the item to propel yourself, but you have to pull back on the control stick to give Samus a backwards momentum so that she reaches the platform where the ice door is.
Yeah, this is awkward to say the least. In fact, like, I sometimes, just getting that slope jump. I've actually quit a run at one point on a weekly race because I just was so frustrated trying to get this trick. And I was having a bad day. I just want to end, an Ultinurato points out that you can also use a Metroid for the dash. Although Hal has killed all the Metroids at this point in this room. I think there's an extra scan point in this room too.
Yeah, there was an extra scan point added in Rando. Just a little shy. There is an alternate method as well that if you've had to pick up the item and you've killed all the Metroids, you can use the scan point that Hal's currently locking onto, or the mushroom, from the upper platform where the item pickup is, and you can still do a full kind of scan dash from there, which is something I practice for learning 100%.
One of the one of the scans interslace literally says scan visor is a movement system.
Yep. Shout outs to my best man Toaster Party for dropping the best line in the game.
Also, so Gunner has opted not to do Thardus right now, which, we'll leave that for later. And just to touch on a topic we were just talking about in regards to Phazon potentially being in the game, Ultinurato, who is an esteemed developer for the Randomizer community, points out that yes, certain enemies in the game did have properties where they were vulnerable to Phazon damage. So yes, it very likely either for testing purposes or as theorized, it could have been in the game at some point.
That's interesting. Now, it looks like Gunner is going to be doing the remainder of Magmar here, checking Phazon Processing Center potentially.
You
It
mean
looks like
plasma processing
Hal.
center?
Yeah. So it looks like Hal has given up on the awkward scan dash, which is fair enough. If Hal managed to get that, that could have been the deciding point of the race, because if Phazon was to be there, then skipping the whole spider ball requirement would have been a massive amount of speed here. Now, what I would expect Hal to do is probably go for the save warp.
Yeah, I don't see him doing. If you. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, there you. Oh, yes. Yeah, you have to destroy the drone, of course.
Yeah, I believe Hal destroyed the drone but never picked the item up, so is now locked in the room, having to redo the drone fight.
Yeah, and I would assume that Ulti. Yeah, I mean Hal is going to save warp as well, because if you can't get the MQA dash, I highly doubt you're able to do spiderless shafts, because that is arguably one of the hardest spider ball tricks or spiderless ball
Yeah.
tricks to do in the game.
The one thing I will say is I know that Hal has frequented doing any percent. I'm just not sure whether Hal's any percent learnings took him to learning spiralist shafts. So possibly, but it looks like with Hal doing the maze, probably going for that save warp. And I'm now starting to suspect that Spider Ball is left in Chozo and is probably on Flagra at this stage. I have a feeling it's probably on Flagra. And that's just because of kind of tendencies that Randovania seems to be having.
Also going for the safe warp. My text document with all my notes has vanished, so I'm going noteless from here on. I genuinely don't know what happened to it.
Ah, it's fine. So we'll see what happens. It looks like Gunner is going to do a quick check of Arbor Chamber and Root Cave, now that we have all the logical items required for this. So the reason I say Flagra over Zoid is that Flagra has a 20% chance of having progression, and I mean hard progression for the seed, that being Spider Ball. I believe Zoid's progressional figure is a little lower than that. Flagra tends to have about 40% progression, but that's including things like energy tanks, which are energy tanks and some of the power bomb expansions, which are considered somewhat to be progressional items, but they're not hard progression. You could also see Gravity Suit in there as well.
As Gulp in chat just pointed out, our runners briefly held hands / high-fived, but yeah, or diverging, converging, and now diverging again.
Yep.
Yeah, having all the beams passed, as Ulti points out, really opens up Prime. If you, well, assuming you have some of the movement items as well.
Yeah.
Literally anything's up for grabs at this point. Which, yeah, these kind of seeds can be incredibly overwhelming. Like as to what to do next, because literally you can pretty much do anything, and just keeping track of what you've done, what you haven't. Can be really challenging. Like, you'd think these seeds would be easier than seeds where, progression items are slower to find, but it can actually be the opposite in randomizers. Oh, Gunners!
The downside.
Oh,
Gunners.
he doesn't realize this check has no items. It cannot in the current state of Randomania, because it doesn't, unlike the previous randomizer we've been using, this randomizer doesn't have the missing the word. It doesn't know the concept of expansions, and this is one of the only checks in the entire series that requires you to have 40 missiles essentially to break all those blocks.
Yeah, so with the current build of Randovania, when Tower of Light is concerned, Tower of Light hard requires on beginner settings that you need 40 missiles to be able to do the climb. However, Randovania does not consider expansions to ever be logical. So, main launcher only giving 5 missiles on these settings, Tower of Light will never have progression. It can have random items, like you can potentially see super missiles up there, you can see spider ball up there, but if you do see them, then that indicates that those items and any checks behind those items are not part of the game logic. You can actually just skip them as a result.
Slice states that the previous randomizer didn't have anything either, tonguey face, which I'm guessing is a joke to the fact
That's
that
more sarcasm. That
yeah,
that
it typically is always missiles because of how many fingers you need. Yeah, 2% or something very low that like Gaunt states.
Now, looking at the kind of the progress of the two runners, Hal is a little behind on this. Hal is going into Findrana at this stage looking for progression, which we know outside of Thardis, there is going to be nothing there to progress this game. So the last item, the last piece of the puzzle, is sitting in Chozo somewhere.
This would be, yeah, you mean, it could be in Upper Mines as well, or the Frigate.
Could be Frigate, could be Life Grove, could be Upper Mines. I have a funny feeling just with the way and the tendency that Randovania has, that the last puzzle piece is probably in Chozo, just because of how stacked Chozo has been.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And yeah, Flarga, I would be doing Flarga right now with all the things I've found. Like, I'd probably do Flarga over Zoid, even though Flarga takes, like, so much slower. Or ideally doing it back to front, because then you can skip some of the, it's quicker.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit of a kind of difficult one. I probably would have done back to front Chozo once I'd done the save warp, but the problem with that is that you then, if you want to go into Life Grove, you would either have had to have saved and then reset back, or you could do what Gunert is doing, which is just take the momentum from forward Chozo all the way through to Life Grove, reverse frigate, things like that, depending on what they find.
Now, have our runners checked? Yes, I'm sure they have, because the room. I was going to say the room next to the wave beam, with a little more vault.
Rice Temple.
No. In Chozo Ruins, where the wave beam was found in the seed. But yeah, I'm sure they have.
Oh yeah.
Why would you go and get a wave beam there if you can not do that check unless you just forgot what happens?
I believe that was thermal. I think it ruined Gary's North Tunnel was thermal.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yep, Gunner going for Zoid. We'll see if the incinerator drone has anything of worth, or whether the incinerator drone is going to troll us with a flamethrower. I swear the flamethrower turning up on this boss check is more common in Randovania, and if it is, I believe Dark Zero is playing us for a fool and has hard-coded that in.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well,
nope, just missiles today. Now, there is a possibility, because we got all beams in Chozo, there is a chance that our progression might actually be at Hall of Elders.
Yeah, even Elder Chamber, yeah. Because while you technically need Spider Ball to access that area, not with our logic settings.
Yeah, I believe the standable and the jump up is in the beginner settings.
Gunner is doing Joseph from he's clearing it.
Yep, we're getting some magic donut puzzle time, as I like to call it.
So you see, even their names are just like confused.
It confused Toaster for a while because I called it the Magic Donut Machine and he was like, what? And the reason I call it the Magic Donut Machine is you've got the two rings, the donut rings, that travel up and down as you start to power the energy core.
Yeah, those. Yeah.
So yeah, sadly we know that Hal isn't going to find anything of great use outside of Grapple Beam. They will find Grapple here. The only major play Hal can do to... Oh, Hal going for the really cool swag slope jump here. Can they get it? The only thing
Oh,
Hal can do
there's
to
our gravity
really...
chip.
Ah, lower furnace. Thardus being the only check unchecked here, that could give Hal a little bit of leeway in regaining the advantage in this overall seed. But for that to happen, it needs to be phase on at this point.
And as our chat or LT points out, Frigate is now in logic. Hee
Yep. Could be taking a little bit of a bath in the frigate.
I'm still surprised that nobody's gone for plant yet.
Yeah, like, I personally would have routed plant as I was leaving Chozo the first time. Like, it's just something that I've kind of...
Begrudgingly.
In my head, I've accepted that plant is most likely going to have something. Even if it doesn't, I'm still hardwired that I want to ensure that that check has nothing, because coming back and doing it later feels horrible.
Really hope one day we can have race settings where we can have the option of skipping it. Because it is a possibility, is one of the options in Randomizer now, but it's also considered a major cutscene because of the repositioning. So even with the competitive race settings, those cutscenes will unfortunately still be there. The reason Plant has such a high chance of having something, do you want to explain it again?
So it's a bit of a weird one. It's the best way to describe how Randovania works is that Randovania takes the imaginary journey of a person walking through the game world. And what happens is at some point in time that imaginary person is going to walk into Flagra. When it gets to Flagra, currently the algorithm that is in place and has been kind of rectified, tweaked, and modified, whatever, walks into Flagra and kind of panics and goes, if I ever want to come back for the ghost check, I need to ensure that the player has access to these collection of items. So what will happen is that Chozo will end up getting a care package dropped in, where a ton of progression ends up dropping in, and that will include the Flagra pickup. Now, the randomizer also does that same panic when it gets to the Sun Tower check where ghosts are, and it kind of basically double loads the Chozo having a lot of progression, and as a result, what we see is there's around a 20, I think it's the hard stat is 22% likely that the plant has progression because of that panicky aspect that's currently there.
Disappointed. I think Hal was trying.
Yeah, it looked like Hal tried to skip past the rock.
Thank you.
However, they have been invited to WrestleMania to fight Rock, the Dwayne Johnson Thardus. We're in the Thunderdome.
Now, there is the possibility that the Angry Rock does contain the Phazon suit, because we haven't seen this. This is one of the checks Gunner decided to skip because of the speed it takes.
Yep.
So...
The final check of Fendrana, and as Gollop is saying, that slip-up, that failed dash, could seal the deal of this seed.
Alternatively, it could be a vanilla spider ball.
Could be vanilla spider ball, because I think the grapple beam is the only thing required to at least logically walk out the back. So I think that's on beginner. But yeah, this is exciting. Gunner has basically full clear Chozo outside of Plant, which I think is a bit of a mistake on the current format, or the meta, whatever you want to call it. But Hal is in an exciting possibility.
I guess Plant could also have spider ball at this point.
That's what I'm reckoning. I think Plant has Spider to put Minds fully into logic at that point. However, it looks like Gunner is now moving towards Frigate.
Being said, has Spider been needed for anything? Oh, yeah, you know
Spy.
what? Yeah, the plant having Spider Ball and then the suit being in deep mines. That'd be really unfortunate for Hal, because he was desperately trying to get back there, but gave up on the slope jump. Uh,
Yeah.
and if that ends up being the case, he had the right idea, but unfortunately just couldn't get that trick.
So what does Dwayne The Rock Johnson have for us today? Samus is pointing at the WrestleMania sign, ready to go on to the next tournament. And what's the prize?
Is that a bird? Is it a plane?
No, it's just a rock thunking on the helmet. Just a set of missiles, rip.
Yeah, Hal's not going to be too pleased about that.
So we now know that Findrana is clear. The only thing Findrana actually held for us today was Grapple Beam.
Gunner is doing the frigate play. This
Not
isn't
seen Frigate really provide a lot in at least my experience of running seeds. It's not to say impossible.
where the one time you put frigate off, it will have something.
Oh yeah, that's the nature of Rando. Punishes you when you think you're smart. Just an expansion, which is nice.
Yes, Gunner checked plasma processing earlier, and it was just a missile.
Yep. At this stage, between the two runners, all that's left to be checked is plant, life grove area, and upper mines and MQA onwards in mines. I believe everything else has been checked at this stage.
The dream of having a 40-minute seed is over.
Phazon will do that.
Yeah, funnily enough, you cannot. Oh, wait, you can. Never mind.
Ultimately, between the two players, I think Gunner is ahead because Gunner has checked more locations out of the two.
Yeah, definitely.
However, I think the crux of this race will really come down to whoever finds Spider Ball first. Because I think at this stage, Mines is most likely going to be the play. Whether our Phazon suit is in upper mines or lower mines, it's hard to say because it can be anywhere at that stage.
If Gunner feels comfortable with skipping MQA, then he could completely skip Spider Ball, assuming Phazon suit is in lower mines.
Yep, it looks like Frigate is dead, so we can forget about that.
My gosh, forget about that. I saw that. Get out of here. Boo this man.
And we're going up to...
Chat has not responded to this.
Yeah, they're just going to leave that one. Now we're heading up to the Life Grove area, so we've got 4 checks overall, Great Tree Chamber, along with Life Grove Tunnel and Life Grove itself.
I do like how Gunners play this. I really liked Hal's idea though. It's just unfortunate that it couldn't get the execution rate.
Yeah, I think if Hal managed to get that scan dash across, I think Hal could have cinched this one. But it is a very tricky dash to pull off. And it's one of those dashes that if you keep kind of struggling or kind of keep slipping up with it, kind of just starts to eat at you.
It's just so painful to quit as we saw because wait, what? Gunner going for the bomb jump. It's just painful because you have to backtrack, you have to kill the drone, you have to do the maze. It's just
So LGT with nothing. Life Grow 50% dead. Though the E-Tank is nice. Can't knock an E-Tank.
At this point, I would probably, unless it's like directly in your path, I would skip any E-tanks.
Yeah.
They quickly become redundant once you're like 5 or more. At least for my personal preferences. It depends on each run,
Yeah.
of course.
Like, one of the things that, when it came to my run earlier in the week, I basically started skipping everything. Once I got like 40 tanks, and I think it was like 40 missiles or something, I was comfortable that I would only pick up whatever is physically in my way to go from A to B.
No, the UI shows how many they've collected, and and there's only 6 required with our settings for tournament settings. You can change that in Randomizer. Uh, and so they already have all their artifacts required. They're just hunting for that phazon suit.
Yep. The 7th artifact, the MacGuffin to finish the game.
The only one that doesn't have a hint.
I look forward to when we do get that implemented. I'm just not sure what preferred method of hinting I have. But any hint is better than no hint for the phazon suit.
Yeah, like there's certain things I love and prefer Prime 1 for being over Prime 2 for randomizers, but I fully admit that the structure of the world itself kind of lends to echoes more with each area
Yeah.
connected, whereas Prime is kind of more, like areas are more disjointed. Although this is also why I like, this is why I actually really enjoy Prime 1 Randomizer with random elevators. Uh, because you can end up with some really, really interesting formats.
Yeah.
Turnouts
Now,
some.
gunert is in mines from the front. So we've now got a list of checks that we have not yet seen, so curious to see how this pans out. Nothing item behind here, I think. Nope, just missiles. I don't know if Gunner checked main quarry. Did anybody see that?
I don't think he did. Did he? Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
just, just went
interesting.
directly for the save station.
That's really an interesting play. I'm not sure if I agree with
We're
that.
getting bounced by
Oh
powers
no!
here.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yep, there's the panic power bomb, getting them out of your face.
Yeah,
And
I
another
heard
grenade.
a special somebody had an experience with them recently.
Yeah, I had a nasty experience in one of my practice seeds. I was in my phase on go mode. I got to security access station, I think the room just past there, and rolled up to a set of boxes, dropped a bomb, hoping to get a power bomb, and the shadow pirates just pushed me into the wall and murdered me. I was not capable of unmorphing, I never had a power bomb to clear them out, and I lost like 3 tanks in something like 6 seconds. And my phase on suit was one room away. That was the kicker.
Yeah, that wasn't your best day for seeds.
It wasn't. I never finished a single one. All 3 of my seeds died that day.
Right, nothing for Gunner so far, and
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder if how he's gonna route this out. Like, I'm guessing once he gets to the save station, he might warp to start.
Yeah, I think once Hal gets out of the front of mines, has done the Hydra check, probably will take the save warp. The question then comes down to whether Hal decides to move into, well, most likely will move into Chozo at that point and start doing cleanup, and it's just really going to be dependent on whether Hal decides to do plant or push plant off.
At this point in the race, unless Plant or the Ghosts in Chosen Runes have the Phazon suit, this is pretty much Gunnert's race now.
Yeah. I cannot commit to saying this is Gunner's race to lose, because I'm not 100% sure on whether Gunner is comfortable in doing lower mines spiralers, if it comes to it. So both runners may end up in the same situation where they're digging for that spider ball. The difficulty here is that Gunner has completed more of the overall world at this point. Say hi to Calvin. Say bye to Calvin.
So, TGC, what's your idea of an ideal Sunday?
An ideal Sunday? I don't know, but today was a very good Sunday. I went out, went for a walk, bought a bunch of fruit, and made myself a smoothie for breakfast or lunch, which I was quite happy with.
Hey,
Oh,
that's interesting.
I also
Oh,
picked up a new pair of trainers because I want to start up the gym. So I'm trying to push this, get this healthy lifestyle on the go.
if
Ideal
anyone,
Sunday sprinkles. Wrong Sunday, but I like where your mind's at.
I don't know if anyone actually gets my reference to Hot Fuzz when I ask that question.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, right? I am rubbish when it comes to references.
Oh yeah, same. This is Hot Fuzz is an exception because it's such a good film.
It
And
really is.
I get this plate with Gunner. He's not worked the start. He's gone back through the save here, so he can yeah do the main
Yeah,
quarry now.
that makes sense. You exhaust everything up until Elite Research, and then save warp back, go to main quarry, and then start climbing up to go into the lower part. Because you physically need Spider Ball to traverse from Elite Research upwards. So this
Interesting
makes sense.
that he used boost ball to open the wall, like when he had the X-ray visor.
Might have just been kind of like the motions. Sometimes you go into kind of autopilot with some of these checks.
Yep, I know that feeling.
Right then, so what have we got in main quarry? And the survey says missiles.
Oh,
The race is still on. So Hal has returned to Magmoor. Now, if Hal goes left, we know they're going for the Chozo play. If they're going right, then it's possibly a return to the back of mines.
wow, has he got it? I think he's not gone left.
Yeah. Possibly going for Root Cave Climb, which is a
There
bit
it is.
questionable. I don't know why
There
they're
it
not doing it.
is.
Phase
Gunner
1 suit
and
and
Como.
Storage Depot B.
Oh,
Always bet on mines.
yeah. Per Hal, like he would have had to come to the front lines if he doesn't know spiraless shafts.
Yeah.
So Gunner is pretty much got this race is in his belt now.
Yeah, because Gunner will just be going back to main quarry and taking the save to save warp back to start, and then pushing into the final bosses. And they're fairly well equipped. They've got, what, 6 E-tanks, 7 E-tanks with 85 missiles? That's enough. Spider not required for this, yeah. The expectation was to take Gravity Suit, go through Frigate, and then just grapple beam across. Though I believe the scan dash on main quarry is actually at beginner logic as well. So the grapple beam wasn't even required, so Fendrana was a complete dead location. Hal being a little conscious of the energy low. Pirate Homeworld's number 2 track.
Oh no. Yeah, be careful there.
Yep, so Gunner now moving into Artifact Temple. Return of the Chozo MacGuffins. The Chozo ghosts are going to get kind of angry, and then Ridley's going to turn up, and then Samus is going to have to fight the Metal Chicken, and then the Chozo ghosts are going to give Samus a little bit of a reprieve, and then shoot the Metal Chicken. I believe that's how the lore goes.
Did we ever find any of the other beam combos not including super missiles?
I don't think we ever saw them. Yeah, I don't think we ever saw them. And yes, as it's as you'll see the messages popping up in the chat, HAL is being... The game is also being restreamed over on the French SpeedGaming channel. I believe once the race comes to a conclusion, we may have gunert joining us here on this side, but HAL will be joining the French restream for commentary over there. So we'll just need to kind of play it by ear and see how long each of the commentary sides take.
This was a pretty jet seed, all things considered.
Yeah, it was the tale that has been told many a time so far in this tournament. Chozo super stats. The only thing Chozo didn't have was grapple beam and phase on. Yeah, and power bombs. Power bombs were at the bottom of the cave. But technically, you kind of consider those early checks to be part of the Chozo checks.
Very well played on Gunert's part in that fight. Used the boost to get in the phase quickly, hitting all the times Ridley was preparing to dash, which is the hardest time to hit him because of the hitboxes. Yeah, very smoothly done. And even finished him off with the super.
Yep. Ridley has a deep allergic reaction to boost ball. Deletes 2/3 of the health bar and it hits the health cap. That's why you would have noticed the boosting just remove almost all of the health from the metal chicken. And the one thing I like to say about it is about the execution on Ridley as well is super missiles save you a phase almost when it comes to the final stage. If you go for pure missile spamming, you're required to do 3 individual waves of it, whereas if you go for super missile execution, you only have 2 waves to finish off Ridley in that final part. Now, gunert has entered the dentist's office, and sitting on reception is Jack and Jill, who are very, very protective of their oversized hill. Oh, there's one of them. Looks like gunert has made it up. That was a bit sketchy, but we got there.
And this is the room we're talking about, where you're expected to use spider ball, but nobody ever does on Gunert's side.
One of these days, I think in a rando race, I might do it just for fun's sakes.
You don't even tell the runner, just be like, oh wow, this is a free seed. Watch them go in. It's like, what the heck?
No, I mean in my own race, I'll just do it for fun.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like I'll lose the time, like the 20-30 seconds it has, but it'll just be amusing. But no, we are moving on to EXO. And gunert seems to have got the kind of the worst start, which is wave into power.
Does it make much of a difference in the first chamber? Yeah, I guess it's more important in future chambers.
I think it can have a little bit of a difference because of the amount of damage super missiles can do. But because if you flood between, if it goes from power to wave, I think you can remove more of the wave phase by super missiling it.
Sure.
But don't quote me on that. I'm not a scientist when it comes to the sub-chamber fight strategies. I learn and I mimic for the most part.
Alright, so getting the ball attack right away is unfortunate.
Yeah. So keeping your distance from EXO can be a little bit of an awkward thing. The more distance between you and EXO, the more likely EXO is to spam the poisonous missiles, to spam the elemental orbs. Whereas if you stay close to EXO, you can manipulate it into doing claw swipes, and it is a lot easier to kind of manage. However, getting the manipulation can be a bit tricky because sometimes she can clip you with a claw if you mistime your movement.
Also from the third sub-chamber onwards, or it might be the fourth, but if you bump into Prime in the first 2 sub-chambers, you just bounce back. But after that, you actually start, your arm cannon flinches, so you have to start recharging your cannon, which of course costs you time.
was not aware of that.
Yep. Yeah, see how she punched it there? That's only as
I
of
didn't
this.
realise that was a chamber-specific thing.
I believe it is anyway.
Now, Hal is doing the kind of the Chozo clears here. They've came in from reverse and are just working their way forward. So we'll maybe see Flagra before the game ends, but Exo and the Essence fighter tend to be fairly quick.
Has Hal done Zoid?
I don't believe Hal has done Zoid, so they will be making their way through to that.
Yeah, so we're not going to see Plant done today. The only way we're going to see it is seeing the end credits. Yep. Hopefully.
I'm still shouting out Spider-Ball's going to be there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I guess we'll never know if it was Flarga. Well, yeah, no. I mean, it could it be Ghosts?
Can't be Ghost because you logically need Spider to make it to Ghost. The early wild bomb jump is not in beginner at all.
I know, but was Spider Ball actually logically required for anything?
That is a shout, yeah. Spider Ball could be locked on Ghost because it wasn't actually required.
Although that would be astronomically slim because of the amount of progression we got in knowing that Flarga has such a good chance of getting something. That would be like a 0.% on a 0.%.
Now we're in the Chaos phase sub-chamber, where Exo has the ability to change its beam defense at will. She gets a lot more aggressive, she speeds up on her attack patterns, and just becomes a bit of a troll at this stage.
Okay, so no issue at all.
And down goes Exo. And now we're into one of my... I actually really enjoy the Essence fight, as straightforward as it is, and how uncomplex it is for a final boss. It's actually quite a fun fight.
It's nice that's purely with the Randomizer. Thanks to Toaster Party, the music now works for this final fight, whereas if you skipped it too early in the vanilla game, in version 1.0 of the game anyway, the music skipped. I'm surprised Gunner also moved, because typically most runners don't move at the start of the fight to manipulate Metroid Prime's position.
Yeah, so Essence will move accordingly to where you are in the room. If you stay neutral at the beginning of the fight, then Essence will move pretty much 100% of the time the same way into a position that means that she will abide by the laws of going bye-bye. One of the things to note is that if Essence ever gets too close to the carcass of the Exo, then she will do what is called a pull skip, where she will skip phases and not lay a phase on pull. And the phase on pull is the key to defeating Essence here.
So then you just wait. Also, I stand corrected. Altinurato was actually the person that did the patch for the music, and also fixed the white screen fix, which is if you skipped the cutscene on like very close to the end when there's the white screen, you could get permanently stuck. The game would essentially crash or soft lock.
The white screen glitch was actually quite funny because the game still runs, it just doesn't... Oh, there was a pull skip too close to the
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you again.
Yeah, the white screen glitch is quite funny, where the game doesn't necessarily crash. I think it still runs, but your screen never phases away from the white. I ended up with a seed where that happened to me, and I ended up just turning on the meshes inside Dolphin, so I could see all the mesh lines and fight it. It was really weird.
And if you're wondering why the runners are pumping when they're in the phase on full, it's twofold. One, the pumping is to do the animation interrupts, so it gets the phase over quicker, because it just needs to attack a certain amount of times. Is it about the pull skip again? No, it's not, okay. And then the other thing that the runners will do on the last phase is going in and out of the pool to preserve the pool amount, because it's based on two timers. One, how long you've been in the pool, and two, just on a global timer period. So like eventually it'll fade regardless. Oh, gunner almost got it. Oh, but
Almost, yeah.
yeah.
The phase-on suit itself was in, what do you call it? Storage Depot B.
Yeah, the grapple beam room.
Yeah, vanilla grapple location. Oh, you think of the old match, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Right,
And
right.
Carl is going to fight Flarga.
Yep. It looks like Essence is being a little rude on Gunner's side. And Gunner has finished with an official race time figure of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 20 seconds. And Hal has dropped the forfeits on that one. Gotten because I wanted to see what Plant had. We'll maybe see what the credits say. So hopefully we'll get Gunner in here shortly and go for a wee interview.
A wee interview.
Hello.
GG's Gunner.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Some reason I got the French restream link first. I don't know what was up with that, but
Yes.
How did you feel?
that was a seed. Oof.
Talk us through it. Like, what was your mindset being in go mode at the 20-minute mark?
Alright, so here's the thing with this situation, right? It's difficult because there's no wrong choice, right? Every choice is completely and 100% valid in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
The question really becomes, how the hell do you route it, right? And my general philosophy is to just make as straight of a line as possible. So
Yeah.
I chose to follow where the artifacts were pushing me, and then go into Fendrana, and then just take as straight as the line through as many items as I physically could as fast as possible.
Oh, and we've got Hal joining us.
And the links are all over the
Good
place,
afternoon,
apparently.
Hal.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Hal. How are you doing?
Well, that's okay. And you guys, how are you doing?
Good. We had quite the exciting seed to watch. From our perspective, you both were a few minutes between each other getting into the full go mode of having all your artifacts, all your beams, pretty much all your movement stuff. So we had the exciting rush of deciding where the divergence was going to be and who was going to find phase on first out of all of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask where the Phazon suit was.
Girl beam.
Yeah, Storage Depot B.
Okay.
Your route divergences started to begin when you both collected your 6th artifact. Gunnar proceeded into Fendrana, whereas Hal, you decided to go to the lower mines. And like
Called
both.
it!
What
I
was
just want to point out, Sun Chamber Spider Ball. I called it.
That's where it was when I didn't find it. But
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
But
like
no, yeah, on you go, Pyro.
yeah, both of you had like I admired both your plays because Gunnar was going for the more item dense location Fendrana, whereas you Hal went for where the statistically where the Phazon suit has ended up. He went off to mines, but unfortunately it was in the upper mines.
Yeah, I failed I didn't practice the spiderless since a very long time. So I forgot. I didn't forget, but that's a trick that I don't do very
A little
often.
rust.
And yeah, rusty. Exactly.
Yeah. Like I quite admired the play you were doing because I quite personally bank on mines being the play in that situation, especially once you got your 6th artifact and you both had Findrana and mines available at that stage. So you going into mines, the only thing that was punishing was you couldn't do a full mines clear because of the spider ball or lacking spider ball. But it was pretty good overall. I think it was just like kind of like obviously that the spiderless MQA trick is a little difficult to kind of nail down.
Pulling
Yeah.
off spiderless shafts is like probably the hardest spider ball trick in the game. So, and even like I can't do that one. So I fully understand working to start.
Yeah. The way I was going to run it was just full clear mines, top first and then bottom, and then go back fight Thardus, and then at the very end, go back and fight Flagra, and then get the last dynamo item since that was still a thing. If I had ended up going that long. But yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with my decisions. Obviously, there was a lot I could have skipped, but again, in this situation, I've always found the best thing to do is to just make your route as efficient as possible, which usually means not skipping anything. So
Yeah, I think the only thing really that you had skipped on your side was Thardus. Like, you done all of Fendrana and chose not to fight the rocks, which is fair. Like, it's one of those, like, really awkward 50-50s at that point. It's kind of just kind of weighing up whether you want to come back at a later point to do it before you go doing it, kind of other things. It's difficult to make that decision.
the way I was gonna end up routing it was I would have been in PPC, so I could have just immediately gone to Thardus anyways, which would have been the plan if I had needed to do that.
Just to
So.
check, by the way, Gunner, are you aware that tower missiles statistically can never have an item currently?
I heard that, but I just didn't want to take any risk whatsoever in this situation, so I just checked it anyways.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, it's just because there's no concept of expansions currently in Randomizer. That was the
Yeah.
one. That's the one thing that I was wondering about.
Yeah, so only ever the missiles that main missile launcher gives you are only ever considered to be the missiles that are in logic. So Tower of Light requires like 40 missiles or something to get the item at the top. It can, however, give you very interesting information, however, because it can still lock, say, like Spider Ball or Super Missiles or something at the top of that, which can tell you that those checks are no longer in logic.
Right.
But the item that sits at the top is never part of your logical chain with the current setup of Randovania, because missile expansions are never considered for any logical aspects.
Alright, I'll have to keep that in mind. But honestly, even if I had known that, I probably still would have checked it anyways, just out of sheer not wanting to take the risk whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I admire that, yeah. And yeah, as TGC points out, it's still a very valid strategy.
Right.
I'm really curious to see if that will ever come up in the race before that is addressed.
Any thoughts from yourself, Hal? How did you feel overall in the seed?
I felt good until I failed in MQA, but before that I felt good. But I think I lost like 5 or 10 minutes in MQA. I don't know. So yeah, after that
Probably
I was
about 5. I don't think it was.
Yeah.
You didn't spend as long in there as you probably expected, but I
Yeah,
think at least the mindset you probably would have had leaving it made
felt
it feel
forever.
less. Yeah.
The fact that you were forced to do the drone again and doing the maze, that definitely hurt as well. Like I've also been in your position in the weekly race. I actually ended up forfeiting because I was having a bad day as well when I tried to do the similar trick.
Yeah, in my head it's like, yeah, I'm behind, but maybe for whatever reason he failed or something, so who knows, but he didn't, so well played to him. Well played, gunert.
Yeah, you as well. GG's. Honestly, this was mostly luck as to who found it first, so...
Yeah, the start was super jet.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Considering by the 20-minute mark, Gunner had everything essentially. You were only like 3 minutes behind picking up your last artifact, and that's where the entire seed diverged. And there was no best way, as Gunner mentioned, there was no best route through the rest of the game, and Phazon could be anywhere inside that. So
Yeah.
I don't think there was any mistakes made on the final section of the routing. It was just a case of who was going to be luckier at that stage.
Yeah, that was super open, so yeah, routing is not that important. But yeah, I was trying to get lower mines. Statistically, it's quite good, but didn't pay off because I failed my MQA dash. It felt so close, but yeah, need to try to train that again.
I should probably touch up on that myself.
Otherwise, do we have any closing thoughts for the seed?
Well played.
Yeah, you as well. Best of luck for the rest of the tournament here.
Thanks. Same.
And I just want to give a shout out to our trackers. We should have done that earlier as well. Dasnasu and Gollop. They did a fantastic job keeping up, especially with how quick everything was obtained right at the beginning. So
Yeah.
I tip our hat off to you too.
And shout outs to co-coms here with Chris as well. The double Chris shenanigans here. Just looking at the schedule for this week on the Prime Randomizer tournament, there is only one final game to be played, and that'll be Sasquatch 954 versus Robo Scout. That is going to be in what? Let's see if I can do my time conversion properly.
Hours?
Let's see.
Because it's 12:30 right now, and it'll be 6 p.m. I believe Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, like 3.5 hours, somewhere around there.
So yeah, definitely
6 p.m. Eastern.
And this was the second round of second Swiss round of the Metroid Prime Randomizer 2021 tournament. And I believe we have 3 more rounds after this in the Swiss round, and then it's time for our double elimination, and we'll see who has progressed into the final tournament.
I think there's 6 rounds actually, so I think there's 4.
Is it 6?
I might be mistaken though.
It might be.
There you go.
Well, we have 34 players, so 6 rounds probably sounds about right. But that could change depending on whether people start dropping as we start progressing. It's hard to say, but we've got plenty of content to come, is the key thing, the important thing.
In the meantime, our runners, we're Gunner and Hal. Do you want to? Sorry, go ahead. So, my name's Christopher Foss.
And I am the Ginger Chris. And we'll finish up there. If anybody's interested in catching up with the French restream interview that Hal has dropped into, they've moved over into the French SpeedGaming channel. So you'll be able to get some more final thoughts from Hal on that side. If you speak French, that is, obviously. And I think that's us done here.
Right. See you next mission.
Bye!